morning. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. I am Heena Gambhir. On 27th of April, a 45-year-old woman was stabbed to death in Ekta Camp, a slum in South Delhi. The crime is figuring in today's urban debate because the killing happened following a fight over filling water from a community tap. Yes, a murder over water. This is not a crime from a remote kasbah, but an annual reality of India's capital, Delhi. A severe, unsparing summer first brought a power crisis. And now taps, hand pumps, water bodies, even Delhi's lifeline, Yamuna, are running dry. No, the unprecedented heat wave is not the lone reason why throats are going parched in parts of Delhi. Delhi's current water crisis is chronic, recurrent, and systemic. Let's see what's been contributing to it for decades now and what all has not been done to prevent the annual ritual. Big reason, number one, and Delhiites specifically, you pay attention to this one. Delhi's lifeline for fresh water, Yamuna, is perishing. Delhi gets 270 million gallons a day from eastern Yamuna Canal, 280 from the western Yamuna Canal, 255 from upper Ganga Canal, 65 from Delhi's own groundwater resources. So Yamuna provides actually 90% of 1200 million gallons per day, what 2 crore Delhiites require. The pollution renders the water unfit from any living form. There is no remedial plan in sight. Now look at reason number 2, and this is very, very important as well. Delhi has 629 recognized water bodies and approximately 500 undocumented ones. Around 70% of water bodies have completely dried up. Rest are heavily polluted. In 2016, the National Green Tribunal had directed the Delhi government to clean, maintain and restore all water bodies in the Delhi NCT region. Negligible progress has been made so far. Now look at reason number 3. Against the National Water Policy of 2012, Delhi does not have its own water policy. And there is another reason why we are facing this major water supply issue today in the national capital. You know, in 1994, 5 Yamuna River Basin states, Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Himachal Pradesh had signed a Memorandum of Understanding or MOU. Now, it mandated if the available quantity of water was less than the assessed quantity, then it would be first allocated to Delhi and the balance will be distributed to the other 4 states. Currently, the water level in Yamuna is 5 feet below mandated level. But Delhi and Haryana again, in an annual ritual, are blaming each other, keeping the AAP versus BJP battle alive, not dousing the water fires. The latest from the Aam Aadmi Party political war room is a plea by Delhi Jal Board. Its vice chairman Saurabh Bhardwaj has alleged that Delhi is still short of 65 million gallons a day, as Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar is deliberately obstructing water supply in Yamuna. Listen in.
दिल्ली की यमुना नदी के अंदर जो पानी आता है हरियाणा की ओर से, वो पानी का लेवल 674.5 फिट होना चाहिए, जो कि कम होके 669 फिट रह गए। 5.5 फिट पानी का लेवल कम हो गया है, जिसकी वजह से यमुना नदी से 60-70 MGD पानी कम मिल रहा है। दिल्ली के अंदर उसकी दिक्कत आ रही है और मैं हरियाणा से कहूँगा कि भाई जो हमारा एग्रीमेंट है उसके हिसाब से पूरा पानी छोड़े। दिल्ली को इसकी वजह से काफ़ी दिक्कत है। हम लोग अपने दूसरे सोर्सेज से, जो कि जैसे ग्राउंड वाटर है, बोरवेल्स हैं, बाकी सबसे पूरी कोशिश कर रहे हैं। आज भी जो हमारी सप्लाई थी 950 MGD से ज़्यादा थी।
जितना भी वो इस विषय पर झूठ बोल करके और फर्जी आंकड़े दे करके राजनीति करते हैं, ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, क्योंकि ये विषय एक बार नहीं, कई बार सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी जा चुका है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मोहर लगा दी है कि ये जो है पानी हरियाणा से जितना मिल रहा है पर्याप्त, जो उनकी आवश्यकता क्या है, जितना उनका शेयर है, शेयर के हिसाब से उनको मिलता है। बल्कि एक बार सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने लगभग 250 क्यूसेक ज़्यादा पानी देने की जो बात कही थी, वो भी लगातार चल रहा है। उनका 700 कुछ क्यूसेक पानी तो उनका शेयर है अलॉटमेंट, लेकिन अब 1000 और शायद 50 क्यूसेक वो टोटल उनको पानी दिया जा रहा है। और उसमें भी कंडीशन ये है, दोनों जो वो है उनके बैराज ने, दोनों जो बैराज हैं वो भरे रहने चाहिए और उसका लेवल जो है वो मेंटेन करने के लिए हमारे लोग भी देखते हैं, दिल्ली सरकार भी देखती है, आज भी उतना ही है, कहीं उसमें कमी नहीं है।
यमुना में जो पानी छोड़ता है हरियाणा का डिपार्टमेंट, ठीक है, वहाँ से भी पानी जो है वो कम आ रहा है, कम छोड़ा जा रहा है पानी। हरियाणा जो है, हरियाणा को पानी छोड़ना पड़ेगा तो ही यहाँ पे आएगा। तो आप लोगों के माध्यम से और हम लोगों ने भी ऑफिशियली जो है हरियाणा के डिपार्टमेंट्स को चिट्ठी लिखी है कि वहाँ से वो पानी छोड़ें ताकि यहाँ पे लेवल्स मेंटेन हो सके। तो होप हम यही कर रहे हैं कि एक तो हरियाणा पानी छोड़े, दूसरा क्या है कि थोड़ी प्री मानसून शावर्स की बात जो है मानसून डिपार्टमेंट, जो हमारा वेदर डिपार्टमेंट है, इसने भी कहा है, तो अगर वो हो जाएगा तो दोनों चीज़ों से राहत मिलेगी।
Now, the impact of this turf war is being felt in North, Northwest, South and Central Delhi. Some areas in New Delhi Municipal Corporation. The centre is running a national scheme of Har Ghar Nal. The Delhi government prides itself for reducing water bills. What will it take for these netas to end their battles, to end water wars, is something that we want to discuss on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. How can there be water at the end of the tunnel or pipeline? Let's straight away go across to my guest joining us on the broadcast this evening. For this debate, we have with us Raman, Malik, spokesperson of the BJP, Siddhartha Sharma, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson joining us, Harishankar Gupta, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Dr Anjal Prakash, research director at ISB is live with us, Nitin Bassi, program lead at CEEW is also joining us on Urban Debate this evening. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Dr Anjal Prakash, let me begin the discussion with you because we've heard what the politicians are saying, the kind of blame game that's taking place. Let's talk about how the situation is on the ground and why is it that, again this year, the story is repeating itself. There is a water shortage issue. Is it because of unprecedented heat wave, or there are some other reasons as being cited by the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi?
Thank you so much, Heena. And let me just focus on 4 points when it comes to water crisis. And this is definitely an annual ritual, but we also see that this year has been very, very unprecedented heat wave. This is going to be, one of the force multiplier of the present situation. And that is one, thing which has come out very strongly in the IPCC report, which is, telling us that the future is going to be much more warmer. And this problem is going to be there. But let me just come to the, other nuances of this problem that we see here. First is about the institutional arrangement. There's already, a set up institutional arrangement to solve dispute between states. And, so rather than, I would say that taking a political pathways to settle dispute, I think there are institutional arrangement in which one can take this forward. Debate can be taken forward, and that is where, especially the upper, the Supreme Court has set the guidelines. Upper Yamuna River Board agreements are there, so these are things which is already there. But second part is also about the, the population is rising in Delhi. We see that water use efficiency is something that has to come forward. There's a different estimate, but around, very broad estimate, about 30% of Delhi's water actually is unaccounted. That means we must use efficiency measures to play, for efficient water supply. That's number second. Third is about how we protect the water bodies. I think this IPCC report has also brought forward what we call the blue and the green infrastructure has to be protected for a better future. Now, give you one example, rainwater harvesting, which has actually been one of the policies of the government, which has not been taken up in letter and spirit. And we see that if you have rainwater harvesting really done across the landscape,
right,
or 20 to 30% of water will be there. So just the last point is also on the how these issues will be aggravated if we don't solve them. And year after year, we see that the issues have been coming forward, which much more force, which actually can be sorted out if we do much better planning. Over to you.
Okay. You've given us, the things that should be done in the national capital but are not being done, and if the current issues are not addressed immediately, then one, this annual ritual is going to continue the way it is. It might intensify further in the years to come. Nitin Bassi, what is your assessment of the kind of water shortage that we are seeing in the national capital this time? Do you also think it's because of unprecedented heat wave, or is it because of poor planning?
Yeah, I mean, I would attribute it to both. So, whether it's a heat wave or no heat wave, the point is that we are short of around 400 mgd of water, and it is a fact. I mean, the statistics that you put up right at the start of the show, it clearly shows that we are short of 400 mgd of water. And how Delhi meets it? Delhi meets it by illegally tapping groundwater, because that is the one option which the resident has to take for. Now, during summers, what happens is that, even the groundwater availability goes down. So those illegal tappings or the illegal groundwater abstraction reduces. As a result, the availability goes down. Now, the other interesting fact is, I mean, though the claims are made that about 950 mgd of water is supplied, but what actually reaches the resident is quite low. I mean, as the previous speaker was mentioning, about 40% of it is lost in the distribution network itself. So we need to strengthen our distribution network. We need to, renovate it. And another important aspect which I would like to highlight is that we need to promote policy about reusing treated wastewater. That is one resource that we can actually vouch on it, because, Delhi is treating about 600 mgd of wastewater, which after treatment, goes either into some drains or to River Yamuna. So if we can institutionalize this, if we can have a policy that, about, let's say, even 50% of this is reused, a lot of our water problem can be solved.
Okay, interesting points you have raised, and we'll of course be talking about solutions in just a bit. Let me now go across to Siddhartha Sharma, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson on the broadcast. Siddhartha Sharma, good evening. Thank you for joining us on Urban Debate. You give freebies because they assure votes. But after you come to power, what about supplying basics to the people of the national capital? I mean, people in Delhi every year suffer because of the same problems. Of course, it's very hot this time, but as the gentleman, two experts on the subject mentioned just now, it's also about poor planning. Nothing was done to prepare for this kind of a situation. A couple of days ago, a 45-year-old woman was stabbed to death because of water crisis, and that too in South Delhi.
Yeah, I agree with the experts here on the panel, Mr. Nitin and Dr. Prakash, that there are certain long-range issues that we need to solve, and this has to be solved by policy making. But right now, the problem, the sad death of a person in Delhi, or the present scenario in which there is acute water shortage in Delhi, this has to be solved immediately within the next coming few days. And for this, as one of the speakers, I think Dr. Prakash has rightly said, there are certain upper riparian and lower riparian states water sharing formulas across the world. The fact of the matter is that as of today in Wazirabad barrage, where most of the water comes to Delhi, its height is only at around, the water level is at around 669 in place of 675. That shows that the input of water into Delhi has drastically fallen down. There might be many reasons for that. It's the heat is not just in Delhi, it would be in upper riparian states also. The point here is that we have to solve this problem in the next coming few days with the help of all the concerned stakeholders, be it Haryana government, be it Delhi government. Here, it's not Aam Aadmi Party versus BJP. Both the states have governments. These governments have to sit together. We have appealed to the Haryana government that somehow if we can release some water, we can at least overcome this acute shortage. Other than that, the larger issues that our speakers said, especially Nitin sir or Mr. Prakash, they are very, very relevant that we have to come across with far-ranging, long-range policy problems, policy solutions, like solving treatable water, reusable water, water tapping, rainwater harvesting, these issues. And I think Aam Aadmi Party's government has made it very clear in its manifesto that we'll be working for it, be it cleaning Yamuna or getting water. Obviously, these are issues that cannot be solved overnight. We have to solve it. The issue here is not to be politicizing this, because obviously people are parched, the throats are parching with water, and it's no point in making any political allegations on this issue right here.
I have a small submission.
Of course, what you're saying is right, but the problem then is that, why every year we are discussing the same problem? Your party has been in power in Delhi for quite some time now. Why is it that no proper plan has been made so far to deal with this annual crisis? Dr. Anjal Prakash wants to come in, but before that, I want to go across to Raman, Malik, spokesperson of the BJP as well.
Can I respond to that, Heena?
Yes, Siddhartha Sharma. Yes, go ahead.
The point here is that we have made it very clear that at Wazirabad barrage right now the water level is low. Haryana has to give water to us as of today. That's the issue. That's the short-term issue. So that is the solution right now that has to be done by Haryana as of now.
Yeah, I just want Heena to come in.
The question.
Yes. Can I just come in?
Yes, Dr. Anjal Prakash. The point that I want you to address is that why have we come to this kind of a situation today? I mean, there are other sources of water as well. Why did we not plan?
Exactly. The question is that, for example, Delhi doesn't have a water policy of its own. Mr. Sharma is very right and he's a learned person. I have followed him. But the thing is that the knowledge is there. It doesn't lead to wisdom. It doesn't lead to an understanding that we need to have a long-term planning. Otherwise, we'll be doing the same debate over and over again every year. And that's what my thing is, that something should lead. So Mr. Sharma should actually take a leadership position and ask us, call us, and let's work out on a water vision for Delhi. Let's work out on a plan and a policy which will help us in solving this issue in the long term.
Absolutely, because this is now the time to end this water war. We do not want this politics over Pani to continue, every single year. Raman, Malik, spokesperson of the BJP, is also with us on the broadcast. Now, you heard what the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson had to say. Haryana government is not giving the water that it is supposed to release in the river Yamuna. How will you like to respond to what Mr. Siddhartha Sharma had to say? And are you ready to immediately sit with the Delhi government officials and, help douse the current fire that's there?
Heena, first of all, I would humbly submit that I've very patiently listened to everybody. I have some submissions to make and I may be led to do so. I do not know when I will get a next chance to speak. So let's understand some basic issue. We are supplying above 1050 cubics of water continuously. We do not have a water source. We are just supplying as a transit. Now, let's understand something. Mr. Kejriwal should join hands. Hello? Am I audible?
Mr. Malik, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so Mr. Kejriwal should join hands with Mr. Khattar, fight with Punjab, the CM of Punjab, Mr. Bhagwant Mann, and the Super CM of Punjab, Mr. Kejriwal, and take the water which was due to us, Haryana, Delhi and Rajasthan, from the SYL. They will not do that. But they will accuse us. Why? साहब हम पानी घर पे नहीं बनाते, जो हमारे पास आता है हम बांटते हैं. I would also like to understand that how can, and this is something as a humanitarian, one must ask, why is it that people of Haryana, according to the judgment of the Supreme Court, could be lesser mortals than people of Delhi? Why is it that the resources should have a first right for Delhi? I fail to understand. Are people in Haryana lesser mortals? Can they be stated that people in Haryana should not use the water, they should first give it to Delhi. If something is left, they should use it. Why? Why is it that our water, which has been stagnant in Punjab, is not being spoken about? We are the food basket. If tomorrow there is no agriculture, what are you going to eat? What are you going to, how are the children going to have milk? How are the children going to have other facilities which are required, which comes through Haryana to Delhi or to the enhanced nation? Having said that also, 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 6 years continuously Mr. Kejriwal has been saying, हम यमुना को ऐसा सुंदर बना देंगे, हम यमुना को इतना साफ कर देंगे, अगले साल आप मेरे साथ नहा लेना. I do not know when that next year is going to come. Has Delhi invested into groundwater recharging? Zero. Has Delhi invested into making sure that the new policy or there should be some technical infrastructure enhancement of Delhi, like Singapore or like in Middle East country, they have two piping systems where one is drinking water, the other is using water, like, you know, in the toilets and other places. Have you done that? Have you worked any place? Your funda is simple, boss. Please just accuse others and do no work of your own. I want to understand how many departments does Mr. Kejriwal handle? Zilch. Zilch.
Okay.
He once handled Delhi Jal Board and it was in losses. I want to understand this. Why have you not acted upon the Delhi tanker mafia? I want to understand this thing that, you know, when oxygen crisis happened, again, everybody else was to be blamed. When you said there is a coal crisis, there was everybody else to be blamed barring you. So every time you want to shoot somebody else or you want to place the rifle onto somebody else's shoulder and fire, what is your responsibility in Delhi?
Okay.
Only advertisement?
Siddhartha Sharma wants to respond. Why blame other states every time there is a problem, be it the oxygen crisis that happened during the pandemic, the water crisis that we are seeing right now, the coal crisis that we saw a couple of weeks ago? Please respond.
This discussion is not either about oxygen crisis or who the super CM of Punjab is, because if the super CM of Punjab is somebody, then the super PM of India is Modi ji, and then by that extension of logic, Modi ji should intervene in this and solve this problem. Let's not go into that. Let's not trivialize this issue. I've been very clear that this issue has...
When a chief secretary of Punjab...
Raman, when you were speaking, I was listening to you. Please have the humility to listen.
The chief minister of Delhi without the chief minister
Raman,
of Punjab...
Just listen out. No. Just listen out to me. Just have patience.
Okay, Raman, Malik, let Mr. Siddhartha Sharma complete his point. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My point is...
Is Delhi now becoming a leveraging tool for Punjab is what I want to ask you. Because the charge now is, Mr. Siddhartha Sharma, that Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab is not giving water to Haryana.
Exactly.
And hence, Haryana is not able to give proper amount of water as you require in the national capital.
Yeah, let me clarify that. Has the Chief Minister of Haryana, Mr. Khattar, spoken anything about Punjab? No. The issue here is not about Punjab, Haryana or Delhi, because Punjabis also live in Delhi, Haryanvis also live in Delhi, everyone in Delhi lives from some other state. So the issue here is that between Haryana and Delhi as of now, this is an emergent situation, this is an emergency in which water has to reach Wazirabad barrage. That Wazirabad barrage falls in the border of Haryana and Delhi. We appeal with folded hands with Mr. Khattarji to somehow sit with us and somehow release that water to Wazirabad barrage. If it is not so, if he is having any other trouble, let him come forward and say so. He has not said so. The BJP spokesperson cannot say something that Mr. Khattar is not saying as of now. Mr. Khattar is not speaking about Punjab right now. He is saying that the Delhi is lying. He is saying that the Delhi government is lying. The point is not
What
whether
else
I am
you
lying,
wanted to
Delhi
say?
government is lying, or Haryana government is lying. The point here is that Wazirabad barrage, water has to reach Wazirabad barrage. It's as simple as that
Okay.
in the short
Okay,
term. But in the
Okay.
long term, as the experts have said, we have
Okay.
to have a comprehensive policy. Any government
Why
that
could you
that
not have it
doesn't
in the
just
last 6
apply
months?
to Delhi, but it applies to everyone. Include this is a climate change issue which applies to the
Okay,
whole
I will
world.
get experts here to respond to the
Yes,
issue
please.
of why we are in this crisis today, the short term that Mr. Siddhartha Sharma is talking about. But before that, let me get a quick response from Harishankar Gupta, spokesperson of the Congress party as well. Is Delhi now becoming a leveraging tool for Punjab? In your opinion, why are we in this crisis today? Poor planning
Hina
or
ji, I want to
politics?
say, Hina ji, give me sufficient time so that I can complete my thing. What do you mean by quick response?
Absolutely, Mr. Gupta. I am not stopping anybody. I did not stop Mr. Raman Malik, even though he said that he might not get more time to speak.
अब हमें भी समय दीजिए.
Go ahead.
सबको सुन रहा हूँ. कहने का मतलब ये है कि
बिल्कुल, आप कहिए अपनी बात, गुप्ता जी.
मैं घुमाकर बात नहीं करूंगा. सीधे शब्दों में ये है कि टोटल मिसमैनेजमेंट है दिल्ली में वाटर सप्लाई का. और हरियाणा की जो बात ये कर रहे हैं उसकी तो बात भी नहीं करना चाहिए हमको. दिल्ली में पर कैपिटा कंजम्पशन जो है वो 240 लीटर्स है, विच इज वेरी हाई. अगर आप सिंगापुर जाएं और दूसरे देशों में जाएं, वहां पर 150 लीटर 140 लीटर है. वो क्यों है, इसको हमें देखना चाहिए. दिल्ली में सबसे बड़ी क्राइसिस, सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये है, पानी के जो लीकेज है वो सबसे बड़ी गुनाह है दिल्ली के अंदर. सिद्धार्थ शर्मा ने बड़े आराम से कह दिया कि पॉलिसी के ऊपर बात करेंगे. एक्सपर्ट ने कहा पॉलिसी बनाइए, हम बनाएंगे. 8 साल का समय कम होता है पॉलिसी बनाने के लिए. उनको दिखाई नहीं देता कि पानी की बर्बादी दिल्ली के अंदर किस तरीके से हो रही है. लाइनों का जाल हो, उनकी स्क्रूटनी हो, उनका एग्जामिनेशन हो. दे हैव गॉट द मशीन, दे हैव गॉट द इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स टू एग्जामिन द लाइन. एवरी लाइन कंटेन्स थाउजेंड्स एंड थाउजेंड्स ऑफ लीकेज. 50% से ज्यादा पानी दिल्ली का बर्बाद हो रहा है. दिल्ली की कंजम्पशन 140-130 लीटर से ज्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए पर कैपिटा. आज हो रही है 240 लीटर कंजम्पशन. वो पानी कहां जा रहा है? फिर भी दिल्ली में पानी का क्राइसिस है. 1200 एमजीडी पानी दिल्ली की रिक्वायरमेंट है पीक डिमांड के अंदर. 950-980 एमजीडी पानी दिल्ली को मिल रहा है. गर्मी के कारण से हो सकता है कि जमुना में पानी नहीं आया. 10% 15% पानी की शॉर्टेज है. तो हरियाणा बीच में कहां से आ गया? अपनी गलती को मानने को तैयार नहीं है केजरीवाल दिल्ली के अंदर. केजरीवाल को अपना सिस्टम को दुरुस्त करना चाहिए. और जहां तक पॉलिसी की बात है, अभी अंश जी ने, प्रकाश जी ने कहा कि पॉलिसी नहीं है. देयर इज ए वाटर पॉलिसी इन दिल्ली. देयर इज ए वाटर पॉलिसी इन दिल्ली. एवरी ईयर वी मेक समर प्लान फॉर द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वाटर, फॉर द स्मूथ फंक्शनिंग ऑफ दिल्ली जल बोर्ड. एवरी ईयर hundreds of pages are included in their summer plan. So my point is, the total responsibility of the water crisis in Delhi lies on Mr. Kejriwal, nobody else. That's all.
Okay, but Mr. Gupta, we agree that it is mismanagement in Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, but sir, Congress party also ruled these states for decades. So, you can't really absolve the Congress party also, because today it seems that, nobody bothers about Delhiites. Delhiites are only important when votes are required. But tell me, what is being done even today to, make people aware of how they should be conserving water? What is being done to ensure that people do not use this much of water? You just now told us that the per capita consumption in Delhi is very, very high. So all parties, I believe, are to be blamed here.
देखिए, हमारे समय के अंदर 3 चीजें मुख्य रूप से आगे बढ़ाई गई थी. जितने भी हमारे यहाँ ड्रेन्स हैं, नाले हैं, उनके फ्रंट पर, उनके मुहाने पर बड़े बड़े कैपेसिटर्स लगाए गए थे ताकि पानी को साफ करके यमुना में फेंका जा सके. लेकिन उसमें काम रुक गया, वो चालू नहीं हुए, कोई देखने वाला नहीं है. जल बोर्ड क्या कर रहा है हमें समझ में नहीं आती. वाटर बॉडीज को रिवाइव करने की बात 8 साल से लगातार केजरीवाल कर रहे हैं. हरियाणा को ब्लेम कर रहे हैं, वाटर बॉडी को रिजनरेट करने की बात कर रहे हैं. लेकिन कहां, कौन कर रहा है? पानी की लाइनों को कौन चेक करेगा? नई लाइनें कौन डालेगा? पुरानी लाइनें कौन निकालेगा? उनका एग्जामिनेशन कौन करेगा? ये 3 बातें कांग्रेस पार्टी के समय में सबसे ज्यादा इन पे फोकस किया जाता था। इतना क्राइसिस नहीं था। एक नया वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट नहीं लगाया, एक एमजीडी पानी को ट्रीटमेंट करने के लिए नया वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट नहीं लगाया। जितने भी वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट लगे हुए हैं, और यमुना का पानी जो आया, गंगा जल भी जो आया, वो कांग्रेस के समय में भी आया। केजरीवाल ने कहा लाया? केजरीवाल ने तो कुछ नहीं किया। तो हमारी कोशिश है कि दिल्ली के अंदर पानी क्राइसिस की, पानी की सप्लाई में हर साल बढ़ोतरी हो, वो दुरुस्त हो जाए और लोगों को परेशानी ना हो। लेकिन वो काम तो 8 साल पहले केजरीवाल ने रोक दिया। अब उनका ध्यान दिल्ली पर नहीं है, वो दिल्ली को कुछ नहीं समझते हैं। उनका ध्यान तो पूरे देश की सत्ता हथियाने के अंदर है।
Heena, could you just respond to
I will get Siddhartha Sharma to respond to what you've said, but before that, Raman Malik also wants to make a point. Yes.
No, I can tell you this, that Ravi Vyas water, ex-Nangal, that is in Punjab, is 371. Then you come to the other approved by the Honorable Supreme Court from the same ex-Nangal is 125 MGD. Then you have the Yamuna Water MOU of 1994, which is 330. This becomes 826 minus line loss or the transportation loss from Nangal to Munka is 107. Now, when you take out this, that is 719, which Delhi gets. Now, Delhi also receives water through CLC at Haripur, which is at 683. The total Delhi is getting is anywhere a minimum of 1049 to 1300 cusecs, 300 cusecs above its right. Now, my point here is, why I've given you these facts is, the simple point which I'm trying to make is, we know water is a scarcity, water is an issue where we have fights within the state. You have the Krishna and Kaveri issue in the south. We have the SYL issue between Haryana and Punjab.
Right.
Now, my whole point is that what is the policy? Because you are not an agrarian state. Delhi is not an agrarian state. It does not have that much of cultivated or cultivable areas in the state. So, what is your policy on reuse, replenishment, and what have you done that can prove your bona fide towards resolving this issue? Because 8 years, only thing that you have been doing is, हम करेंगे, हम सोच रहे हैं, हम बोल रहे हैं और हम उड़ रहे हैं. इधर से जाते हैं, उधर जाते हैं, लेकिन करते कराते कुछ नहीं. So the simple question here is today, what have you delivered? You must say it loud and open that this is the amount of water we have reused. This is the kind of treatment plants we have put in. This is the parallel system that we have put in. At least wake up now. Start doing it. Because climate condition is going to keep changing and it's going to go bad to worse. And we need to do the change.
Yes, that's the reason why we are even having this debate today, that what is the plan to ensure we are not having this debate again next year. We had a similar debate last year as well. Siddhartha Sharma, I know Mr. Bassi also wants to come in. Just let me take one quick response from Mr. Siddhartha Sharma, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. 300 cusecs above your right is what Delhi is getting, is the claim of the BJP spokesperson here. And the question is, where is the policy on reuse, water replenishment? What is being really done, and why come to this situation every year that now it's an emergency? If Haryana does not help us, then this water crisis is going to continue. The taxpayers, the people who voted you to power today are suffering, sir.
One of the points I want to just reiterate is that if Delhi is in excess of 300 cusecs, why is the Yamuna dry in Delhi? You have hundreds of videos circulating around. The Yamuna in Delhi is dry. So it is one point to show certain papers and certain laws that Raman has done, which would be a fact. But that's not the reality. Reality as of today, the problem is of today. The problem is of today is that at Yamuna, Wazirabad barrage, there is no water. And Delhi is parching. We have to, at some level, through whatever means,
But
The
sir,
Delhi government
of
is
course,
appealing to
now an immediate
Haryana
band-aid
government to somehow
solution is
release what,
needed. But why
this is
have
a-
we come to this
this
kind
is
of a
a clear and
situation is the
present
big
danger.
question.
Hina,
Mr.
this is a
Siddhartha
clear
Sharma,
and
why have
present
we come
issue.
to this kind of
Hina,
an
I just
emergency
need 10
situation?
seconds to rebut
Is
him.
what I want to
10
understand
seconds
from
to
you.
rebut him. 10
This
seconds
is
to
a
rebut
climate
him.
One
issue. This is
second,
not
one
just
second, Raman Malik.
contained to
Let
Delhi or
Siddhartha Sharma
Haryana.
quickly respond to the
Raman
question
himself
that I
is
have
saying
asked, and
Haryana
I'll
is
come
also
to
in
you.
need of water. Pardon me? I didn't get you.
No, but my point is, sir, why have we come to this emergency situation that we need a band-aid solution immediately?
It's not a band-aid situation. The situation is clear and present danger of parched throats of
8
Delhi.
years is a long
The problem
time.
here is the issues that you are raising is a
8
climate
years is a long
change
time
issue,
for
not
any
just
kind of
contained to
planning.
Delhi. It's everywhere. We have to sit with policy makers. We have to sit with experts and come out with long-range solutions. Not just Delhi.
When
but
will you
every
sit
state,
with
every
policy
nation in this
makers?
world.
When will you sit with experts is the big question.
As of today,
Raman
we
Malik,
have to
quick
sit as of
rebuttal,
today.
then Mr. Bassi. Yes.
So my whole submission here is, Mr. Sharma should not forget that these plants, replenishing them is also our duty, which we are doing, and we have people observing it. It is not that it is only Delhi Jal Board. It is the Upper Yamuna body also which looks into whether the water has reached or not. And every day's reports are there. So rather than putting lies, they should do what they are supposed to do. They have not even yet ever bothered to clean up the Wazirabad Raj that they should have been doing properly. There it is in complete shambles. All water bodies where water is stored are in shambles, and the water mafia, you haven't asked him on that. Why is it that the Aam Aadmi Party leaders keep supporting the water mafia like mad?
And Delhi has 629 recognized water bodies, approximately 500 undocumented ones, and most of them are either dying or they are dead already. Nitin Bassi, you've heard all three political parties on the show so far, and I want you to tell us, the viewers, what the situation is, who is lying, because Haryana says we are providing more water than Delhi should actually be getting. Delhi says Wazirabad has no water. But people today are suffering. There's no water to drink. It's like water everywhere, not a drop to drink, really. And this is the condition of the national capital.
This discussion is really moving towards, kind of an interesting point. I would say the focus of the all discussions, we heard different parties, we heard different people, but I think the focus is only over water supply augmentation. We are not trying to see how the demand management can be done. And this is where the policy interventions are very important. We cannot just keep on increasing the supply without doing anything for the demand. Now, in few years from now, we'll also start getting water from Renuka-ji. So Delhi has entered into a tripartite agreement with Himachal and the central government, and Delhi being one of the party to it. We'll be getting, some dedicated water supply from the Renuka dam. But again, I would like to highlight that demand management is very, very important. Now, here it is very important that how we are targeting the subsidies. At present, this is my personal opinion, the way the subsidies are targeted, I think it is leading to more inefficient use of water. The subsidies can be targeted better. They can be targeted to the poor households who cannot afford water. Consider me, I am getting 20 kiloliters of water free every month, whereas I can afford to pay. So it is not kind of giving me incentive to make efficient use of water, and hence, there is a lot of wastage. So not only there is a wastage in the distribution, there is wastage also at the end user level. Where I am not actually concerned about how much water
Yes.
I will be using, because I am getting so much of water free.
Absolutely. That's an important point you are raising. And I want to go across to Dr. Anjal Prakash as well. The NGT in 2016 had asked that all freshwater lakes and bodies be cleaned. What is the status today? Little progress, and over 200 drains that are there, nobody is there to even check them. Why not act now for a better tomorrow? Do you even see that intention with the kind of reactions we are getting from the government in the situation like this? ऐसा क्यों है कि जब आग लगती है तभी सबको बाल्टी उठानी पड़ती है, लेकिन उससे पहले nobody wants to prepare so that this does not happen?
No, exactly the point that I was trying to raise, especially to Mr. Sharma. Before that, just to respond to Mr. Gupta, the Delhi water policy is still in the draft format. It has not been. It was prepared in 2016-17. अभी 6 साल हो चुके हैं. ये अभी भी draft format में पड़ा हुआ है. So first thing they must do as an immediate measure is to accept the, and then also update the draft policy and then take this forward. Now coming to the question that you are asking, this is not only about Delhi, but all other mega cities that we have seen. And I'm living in Hyderabad. There also I see the similar trend that in the, the land prices become so high that the water bodies are being engulfed by the local land mafia, the local politicians, and the bureaucracy that is going hand in glove. This is a nexus which is going around. Delhi is not a very different case in that sense as well. So we must protect the water bodies at the first level. So I would say that what is stopping you, to Aam Aadmi Party to just give one verdict saying that all the water bodies, as per the GIS regulation that we have, must be protected from today onwards. I mean, that's one resolution is required. Just go ahead and protect the bodies. These water bodies are also linked to other topography. It's a beautiful system which was carved out 300, 400 years before, which has actually supplied water for Delhi for a long, long time. Right? So that's number one. Last point, Mr. I would
Gupta,
say that.
How will you like to respond? You said there is a policy.
देखिए, मैंने जो बात कहा था प्रकाश जी को, वो ये कहा था कि पॉलिसी बना लो या पॉलिसी नहीं है या ड्राफ्ट है, सवाल उस बात का नहीं है. जल बोर्ड हर साल समर प्लान और विंटर प्लान, इन तमाम चीजों को लेकर लोगों के बीच में आता है. इट इज एज गुड एज ए पॉलिसी. और पॉलिसी बनाने से निकलेगा क्या? अगर गवर्नमेंट सीरियस नहीं है, आप 1000 पॉलिसी बनाइए, उस पॉलिसी का फायदा क्या अगर गवर्नमेंट सीरियस नहीं है? या तो हर 3 महीने के अंदर
I would like to
प्रकाश जी 1 मिनट. 8 साल
Dr. Anjal Prakash wants to respond.
No, I'm just saying that policy provides the institutional framework that gives you, all the water bureaucracy the right to work. Everything cannot be solved over Twitter, right? So that's the whole problem, is that you need to have a policy which leads to a good program and to a planning.
Every officer authority is complete. Every officer authority is complete, and he knows what to work and how to work. So there is nothing there. There is nothing extra in the policy which will facilitate the water supply in Delhi. सवाल ये कि क्या पॉलिसी
बनाने से
अगर पॉलिसी नहीं होगी तो डायरेक्शन कैसे मिलेंगे? अगर पॉलिसी नहीं होगी तो डायरेक्शन कैसे मिलेगी? काम कैसे होगा? सवाल तो ये है. डॉक्टर अंजुल प्रकाश, वेरी क्विकली, I want to give you the last point now.
कई सालों से काम कर रहा है. अगर पॉलिसी के भीतर नियमों के काम कर रहा है जल बोर्ड.
जी.
Okay, Mr. Gupta, Dr. Anjal Prakash wants to make the last point. Yes, go ahead.
I'm urging this to all the politicians here with a folded hand that, when the water crisis happens, it's the poor who is disproportionately affected by this. It's not you and I. Your water and my water will be, already insured. It's the bottom 30% of people who will be starving for water. So please,
sir, we pay for our water,
solve this
don't
problem, not only today, but for tomorrow and day after tomorrow. That is what I'm saying, is that we must have some plan, short term, medium term, and long term, so that the poor is not, disbenefited by whole problem. In the name of the poor, please do that.
Well, the bottom line is there was a Bijli crisis. Government was waiting for rains to arrive. Water crisis is here. Netas behind the scene, I'm sure, are waiting for monsoon rain to arrive. We in fact get a feeling that they haven't heard what was said. A stitch in time saves 9. Probably nobody wants to prepare for a scenario like this, and that's the reason why we keep on seeing the same situation, same water scarcity saga repeating every single year. And we really hope that now at least some lessons are going to be learnt and something will be done so that again next year this does not happen. I would like to thank all my guests for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Heading into a very, very short break, but there's lots lined up for you on the other side as well. Don't go anywhere.